Yeah.
There was that one Thunderbird that was up in, it was like you never saw him, and occasionally they go and visit him, like once a season. They go and visit, but he was up there on his own the whole time. But he was always quite happy.
MCM, comic fans, darlings, it's me, Robert Sheeballs.
I'm Robert Sheeball's friend Tom Hopper, who plays Luther in Umbrella Academy. Hello, MCM Comic-Con fans.
Woo!
I think it makes sense that fans want Ben back more than anything. I think the dynamic between Klaus and Ben in the first season is so strong, and also it's just the beginning of their discovery of what they can do. Right, Rob? I think it was literally like a kind of a hint of like, ooh, what's possible between the two of them. Was literally just kind of almost really hinted, really. And
Yeah,
I think it would be weird to not have that excitement of Ben being part of Klaus's life in the next season.
yeah. And when you have a show that deals very heavily in time travel, death ceases to have the finality of say an apocalypse. I think that's probably why the apocalypse is so scary to the world of the Umbrella Academy, because death doesn't really mean death as such. So of course it would lead them to think, yeah, that Ben's death is essentially temporary or not real. When time travel is so heavily dealt with. If I was in a writer's room, I would be treating death quite frivolously with that much time travel going on. So that could pertain more to the Earthlocker project that me and you were doing rather than the Umbrella.
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting that's one of the other predications.
Yeah.
Interesting that.
I feel like he's kind of left. I feel like Luther's left the moon in his past now. The idea of like returning to that.
Yeah. I suppose the moon represents for Luther the dysfunctional relationship between him and Reginald, the father, right? Like,
Yeah.
That whole giant.
Oh, that is the huge weight on his rather large but tiny emotional shoulders. Yeah, it's the thing that I think if he looks up at the moon now, there's an element of it being like an old place of comfort, but also sheer dread of a time that represents a lie in his life, the biggest lie.
Do you think that people were coming up with the Luther thing or revisiting the Luther thing because of lockdown, because of COVID? That Luther,
it's probably more present. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on lockdown in the most extreme way as the first season began.
Yeah.
And people...
He reminds me of that. It always reminded me of that. Remember Thunderbirds?
Yeah.
There was that one Thunderbird that was up in, it was like you never saw him. And occasionally they go and visit him, like once a season. They go and visit. But he was up there on his own the whole time. But he was always quite happy.
Wow.
He had a mission, he had purpose. And that's what Luther was given, was purpose. So it was all good and well. And then I think it all got destroyed when you realize that all that is for no purpose at all. There's no reason behind it. God, it just feels like so much waste.
Life is the thing that happens when you're busy making plans or missions, depending on the semantics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's some delicious alien stuff, because the first sentence of the graphic novel is that Reginald is a space alien. And although the show very, very, very much grounded itself in more of a reality that reflects our own, i.e. Klaus isn't levitating every scene, and the powers aren't particularly prevalent when all the characters are in a room talking, whereas obviously with the graphic novel it's much more of a thing, but the powers define them visually and everything else. And so Reginald, the whole space alien thing was kept on the back, and with that scene, I believe it was episode 10 with the lights in the jar, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
But it was like he was seeding something. Perhaps, he was just letting something go. you don't know what it is. There's a famous book which I read years ago, which my dad had up in the attic, called Chariot of the Gods by a German guy called Erich von Däniken. And it reminded me of that because the film, what's the film, the alien film that was the prequel? Prometheus, sorry, yeah. That was very much from the theory of Erich von Däniken, which was that all intelligent life, or all life on planet Earth, was seeded here by a more intelligent civilization. You know, that essentially aliens came down and meddled with the environment and created what's now human beings who have this weird aliveness, but we're aware that we have an aliveness that's different to the aliveness of other things. And we exist in this weird sort of reality, which I sort of think about sometimes. But so maybe there was flavors of that, or maybe that's just my interpretation because I read that book. You know, like for example, my friend Rory Culkin and his mates had a movie marathon one night where they watched Prometheus and then Passion of the Christ as a movie marathon.
What a great back-to-back that is.
They were intimately linked because, you know, the angels that came down in Jesus' testimony in the kind of future scientific explanation are the engineers from across the galaxy. You know?
Hey, MCM fans, great theories.